my eyes, I cannot see. When I touch my hand, I cannot feel. I am stuck in my mind, I can't explain. Please forgive me when I'm lost and far away. I need your love and I need it every day. I don't wanna go back, I will change my life today. The world is cold and I need your warmth today. I'm feeling sad but I hold on every day. I think I'm falling down, 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 down. I think I'm falling down, 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 down. I think I'm falling down, 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 down. I hope you hear me, I hope you catch me when I fall. You're the one that gives me air to breathe. You're the one that gives me time to heal. I don't wanna be sad, don't wanna feel bad. I hope you will make it alright. Oh, I'm sorry, 'cause I know that I've lost myself. I think I'm falling down, 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 down. I think I'm falling down, 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 down. I think I'm falling down, 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 down. I hope you hear me, I hope you catch me when I fall. Make it better, you will make it better, better. You will make it better, 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 better. You will make it better, you will make it better, better.
All right. Good afternoon. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming to Masjid Huda. Just want to mention a few things before we start off here. So we just want to introduce myself first. My name is Nurul Sayed. This is my name, and people also call me Kashif. I'm one of the volunteers at this masjid. So I will be facilitating today's session for you. The agenda of today's session is very simple. Because we already lost some time, we were expected to start at 12, but actually we are starting at 12:40 officially right now. So we will have the opening remarks, which will be done by me, and then we have the keynote speaker, Sheikh Umar Haqqani, who's going to be talking, giving you a presentation, and there will be a Q&A session after that. Our call to prayer is at 1:15, and the prayer is actually at 1:30. So you get the opportunity to actually observe the prayer as well. But we want to, if you have more questions after the prayer is done, you're welcome to stay back and ask us more. All right? Some of the housekeeping rules, I already mentioned about the 2 tables in the back. So we have Islamic literature, we have the copy translation of the Holy Quran, we have some brochures, some important subjects like terrorism and hijab and women in Islam. So it's very interesting things that you might want to look into. And we also have a short biography of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. For the ladies, we have a hijab section where you can try on a hijab and see how you look like, and it's absolutely free, you can take it home as well. Everyone in this room, this is the main prayer hall, should be wearing a cover or not have any shoes, because this is a very sacred place, and because of the sanctity of the place, we want to make sure that this doesn't get spoiled. So we request everybody, if you are wearing a shoes, to cover it up, or you can put your shoes in the shoe rack outside. Outside this main door, on the left-hand side, we do have the men's prayer room, men's ablution and the restrooms. And on the left-hand side, we have the women's ablution and the restrooms. So if you want to go outside, then you can do that. This is the main prayer hall. On the back side, when you see, on the top section, you have the women's section where women's pray, men's pray in here. We do have a basement where we conduct all the activities, like we have dinners for the Ramadan. And by the way, this is the month of Ramadan, so you're absolutely coming at the right situation right now. We wanted to offer you food, but we are all fasting. So if you feel like coming back later in the evening, so please feel free to do so, all right? These are the housekeeping rules. Let's move forward to the next one. And I guess next is our Sheikh to be introduction. Before I give the mic to him, I just want to mention one thing here. So you are our guest, and we want to make sure that you feel comfortable and welcomed here. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask them. It's a great opportunity for you to learn about Muslims and Islam. And when you walk out of this door, I want to make sure that we all want to make sure that you have a lot of compassion and optimism and love and respect for the Muslim community. All right? And I also want to thank the Rock Valley College, Brian Wagner. I'm not sure where he's sitting right now. Thank you so much for choosing us to learn about Muslims and Islam. So without any further ado, Sheikh Umar Haqqani is our keynote speaker for today. And he's one of the volunteers and a very popular community member. And he's very passionate. He's very fast-paced. So if you want to raise your hand and ask a question, that would be nice. If you're not understanding something. So Sheikh, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being with us here this afternoon. And as I am getting this presentation up, does anyone, I want to do a real quick check here. Anyone knows which month we're in per the Islamic calendar? Someone just mentioned it, I heard some. Ramadan, what does that mean for Muslims? Fasting? How long? And from what time to what time? For 1 month? From sunrise to sunset. What about if I'm thirsty? Can I have some drink? I see a lot of water bottles around here. Is that for me? No? No food, no water from sunrise, basically sunrise to sunset. Like our MC Kashif mentioned, we are in the month of Ramadan. Actually, we're in the final stretch of the month of Ramadan. The month of Ramadan will be over later on this week, either Wednesday or Thursday, depending on when the moon is sighted. Today actually is one of the main nights, if not the main night, evening for the month of Ramadan, which is, according to the Islamic calendar, is the 27th of the month of Ramadan. What that means is this, basically what happens is the entire Quran, which we're going to talk about here, is recited daily in the evening prayers. Tonight is the completion of that recitation. And starting at about 4 o'clock, you'll see the whole parking lot is going to be full outside. We're expecting a good number of people, close to maybe about 800 to 1,000 people that are going to be here this evening. So you picked the right time to be here today, So I'm going to go home at 1 a.m. tonight. And so thank you for being here. We're happy that you're here. The other thing I want to mention, you see these dividers on the sides. What that is, normally this is not here. This is here because, again, in the last 10 nights of the month of Ramadan, some of the community members, following in the traditions of Prophet Muhammad, they choose to live in the mosque for the last 10 nights, to dedicate themselves, to refresh, to revive their spirit. And this is what they do. They're sleeping here. They live here for the last 10 nights. And they'll go home on the day when the month of Ramadan comes to an end. So that's what we see here. That's what these dividers are about. Normally, they're not here. They're only here for this occasion. Now, coming to the subject at hand, we're going to talk about what Islam is and what Muslims are. And here's the first question right here. Who is God? Or have you heard the word Allah? You've heard Allah. Is there a difference between Allah and God? No. Why not? Allah is God. Basically, Muslims believe in God, and Allah is the Arabic word for God. That's all it is. It's not a different God. It's not a male. It's not a female. It's not an idol. It's nothing. It's the same thing as whatever you consider to be God. Allah is the Arabic word for God. That's what it is. What is Islam? If someone were to ask you, how do you define Islam? What would you say? Are you a professor, by the way? No, you're not. Okay. Okay, that's a good start. That's a good start. We're going to expand on that a little bit more. If someone were to ask you what Islam is, here's a more comprehensive definition. Islam is an Arabic word which means submission. Submission. Submitting to who? You are submitting to Allah. Allah is who? God. The summary is, Islam is the submission of yourself to God, the one who has created you. That is the summary of the word Islam. And a Muslim, same thing. Anyone who believes in Islam is a Muslim. Is a person, he or she, has submitted themselves to the will of God. That's what it is. Alright? Obedience to Allah, God, our Creator. It also means acceptance and commitment to abide by the teachings and the guidance of Allah, God. It is a pure monotheistic faith. Belief in one God without partners, none worthy of worship except God, and an Abrahamic faith. Now, I heard one of the responses here that it started in the Middle East. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit and see if that's how accurate that is. Who is a Muslim? Any person who believes in the following testimony of faith would be considered a Muslim. Following anyone who makes this declaration, they fully believe in this. Not just because they're saying it, or not because someone has forced them to say it. It has to be something that you truly, wholeheartedly believe in, which is the testimony of faith. And there are two parts to it. And I'll read it in Arabic. The translation is there. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. That's part one. And part two is wa anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Wa anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. The translation is, I bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship except Allah, except God. And I bear witness that Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him. You see that PBUH, what that stands for is peace and blessing be upon him. This is a way that the Muslims show respect, not just to Prophet Muhammad, but any prophet and messenger that came before Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him. So Muslims believe in many of the previous prophets and messengers that came before him. So anytime we mention a name of the Prophet, we're going to say, peace and blessing be upon him. That's what the PBUH is. So the second part is, bear witness that Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, is the messenger and the Prophet of Allah. Anyone who believes this is considered a Muslim. Here's the question that I asked earlier. Is Islam a new religion? Well, here, before I tell you that, what do you think? Is Islam a new faith? Or how old is the faith? It's one of the older ones? It's one of the newer ones.
Out of the three monotheistic religions, it's the newest one.
How old?
Like 500-600 years.
500-600 years. Any other? 1,400 years. Are you a Muslim? Okay. You can't answer any more questions. You can. I'm just joking. All right. Let's take a look. Is Islam a new religion? No. Fundamentally, Muslims believe that this is the same religion that was preached by all of the previous prophets and messengers that came before Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him. God tells Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon him, in the Quran, in the following verse. قُلْ آمَنَّا بِاللَّهِ وَمَا أُنزِلَ عَلَيْنَا وَمَا أُنزِلَ عَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَإِسْمَاعِيلَ وَإِسْحَاقَ وَيَعْقُوبَ وَالْأَسْبَاطِ. That's in Arabic. That's a verse from the Quran, and it's cited. It's in chapter 3, verse 84. And if you don't know where to look that up, as Kashif mentioned, we have the Qurans in the back. Or you can download the app, look up that verse. Verse chapter 3, verse 84. We have believed in Allah and what was revealed to us and what was revealed to Abraham, Ishmael, Isaac, Jacob, and their descendants. And in what was given to Moses and Jesus to the prophets from their Lord. We make no distinction between any of them, and we are Muslims submitting to him. Basically, what Muslims believe is that the message that Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, came with, fundamentally is the same message that all of the other previous prophets and messengers came with. The message did not change. What were some of the key, what were some of the fundamental things that all of the other previous prophets and messengers agree upon? Belief in one God. No prophet or a messenger ever said that there is more than one God. No prophet and messenger said don't worship God, worship something else. No prophet and messenger ever said that don't worship God, worship your desire. No one said that. Some of the other key things that all of the other prophets and messengers taught was belief in the day of judgment, belief in the day of resurrection, belief in being held accountable for your deeds, belief in hell, belief in heaven, belief in the angels, and belief in the unseen. All of the previous prophets and messengers agree on this. No one taught any different. So we as Muslims say that Islam is not a new faith. Islam is not a new religion. Fundamentally, it is the same religion that all of the other prophets and messengers before Muhammad came with, including Jesus. Muslims believe in Jesus as being the prophet and the messenger of Allah. We don't believe that he is the Son or the Spirit or God himself. We believe that he is one of the mightiest and one of the most powerful and one of the most popular messengers and prophets of God. But we don't believe that he is the Son of God, the Spirit of God, or God himself. We don't believe that. But we do. It is actually, I would say, that it is a fundamental requirement for a Muslim to believe in Jesus being the prophet and the messenger of God. No person would be a Muslim if he says that I believe in God and I believe in Muhammad as his prophet and messenger, but I don't believe in Jesus. That person would not be a Muslim. So it is a requirement for a Muslim to believe in Jesus as the prophet and the messenger of God in order for them to become a Muslim or be considered a Muslim. Fundamental beliefs. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Belief in one God, belief in angels, belief in the prophets, belief in the divinely revealed books, belief in the day of judgment, belief in the divine decree. Some of the prophets in Islam, a lot of these names probably look familiar to you. Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses, David, Solomon, Joseph. All of these are in Arabic as well. These are the words, these are the names in English, but these prophets and or messengers exist in the Islamic belief as well. Who is Prophet Muhammad? Peace and blessing be upon him. Now, I was told by your professors, you already know the 5 pillars of Islam. So, maybe you know a little bit about this. Who can tell me a little bit about who is Prophet Muhammad? Peace and blessing be upon him. Any detail. Neighbor? You have a neighbor named by that name? I'm sure you've heard the name before. Am I talking too much? No. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, here's a brief bio. And if you need, you're raising your hand, I didn't see your hand, sorry. A merchant. We can say a trader. Yeah, merchant. Yes, that was one of his trades that he engaged in. But here's a little bit more about him, briefly. But again, if you want to know more, there's the table. I keep promoting the table in the back. There's a book, and it's free. Feel free to grab one on your way out. He was illiterate. He was orphaned at a young age. But he was referred to as the trustworthy, the one the people trusted the most. He was known as the most trustworthy and the most honest person. He rejected polytheism. He received his first revelation at the age of 40 through the angel Gabriel. Muslims believe in the angel Gabriel as well. And as I was mentioning earlier, 27th of Ramadan today is considered one of the most sacred nights for Muslims. And as I mentioned today, we'll be finishing the recitation of the entire Quran in this month. And it also happens to be, according to the traditions, the night that the revelation began. The first revelation when he came to Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, happened to be on the 27th night as well. So you guys are here at the right day and the right time from every angle, any angle that you look at. You're here at the right month, the right day, the right time. So good job on that. What is the Quran?
It's like the
most followed book for the Islamic religion. Holy Scripture. The main readings of Islam. Those are all correct. But if we were to get down to it a little bit more, basically the Quran is the word of God that was revealed to Prophet Muhammad through the angel Gabriel. That is preserved until today, and it will be until the end of times. Muslims believe that the entire Quran that was revealed to Prophet Muhammad, it was not revealed in one time. It was not that one night the angel came to Prophet Muhammad and told him, here's the Quran. It didn't happen that way. Does anyone know how long it took for the entire revelation? How long did it take for the Quran to be revealed in its entirety? 23 years. I was on the wrong slide. Anyone else? We missed that chance. 23 years. It took a period of 23 years for the Quran to be revealed in its entirety. You see the bookshelves around here. These are all, most of them are the Quran, which is preserved from the beginning to the end. That was revealed to Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, over a period of 23 years. The revelation came in different stages, in different places, and most importantly, it was dependent on the time and the situation and the need for the community at that time. Some of the verses were specific to that time and the period, but most of the verses are in general, meaning they're there until the end of time. So we can say for Muslims, the Quran is the primary source for guidance. Now the Quran is also accompanied by a secondary source of guidance for Muslims. Does anyone know what that is? And let me just make sure it's not on the slide. Does anyone know what the second source would be? The second source would be the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, which is known as, now I'm told that you also know some of the terminology as well. So your professor is saying that you should know this, and he might give you extra credit too if you answer this. The second thing that's considered revelation. Anyone else want to take a guess? Are you raising your hand? No. Is the hadith? Can anyone define what that means? Hadith is basically an Arabic word which translates as to something that the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, he did or he said. That's considered a hadith. The sayings of Prophet Muhammad, we can say, are considered hadith. So these two go together hand in hand. Whatever God revealed to Prophet Muhammad is considered Quran, and any action that Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, did in accordance with the teachings of the Quran is considered hadith. So those are the two primary sources, the Quran and the hadith. Both of them go together hand in hand. We all know this, right? I'm not going to cover this. You all know this. But who can fill that in? What's number one? Belief in one God. What's number two? The 5 prayers. What's number 3? You guys are slow. You're already seeing the answers. Charity is another one. Fasting is another one. And pilgrimage is the 5th one. Those are the 5 pillars of Islam. Muslims in the world. How many Muslims do you think there are? We're going to pretend we didn't hear that. Did you guys hear what she said? No. Okay, so someone on this side of the room, can you guess the number of Muslims in the world? 1.5 billion. That's close. It's approximately 1.9 billion. And this is according to 2020. Now we're in 2024. The number can be adjusted. It's the world's 2nd largest religion after Christianity. And here's the breakdown of it. 45% of the Muslims live where? In the Middle East? No, actually it's in Africa. Asia and Oceania is 25%. Europe is 6%. And between 1 to 3% is in the Americas. And that's disputed. Some people have put that as high as 6 to 8 or even 10%. But if we take a conservative number, I would say it's probably between 3 and 5%. Now, who are Muslims that live in America? Let's take a look at them. What ethnicity do you think make up the majority of the Muslims living in America? Arabs. Anyone else want to guess? Pakistani. White. African. I think that covers all of them. And actually, all of them are right answers because the Muslims living in America are probably one of the most diverse group of people of any faith that are living in America. Let's take a look at the breakdown here. The Muslims living in America are considered the most ethnically diverse faith community. 25% are black or African American, 24% are white, 18% are Asian, Chinese, or Asians we can say, and 18% are Arab. So the Arabs are not in the majority here, contrary to popular belief. As that was the first answer that we heard here, the Arabs are Muslims, but that's not the case. There's a good number of them that are Muslims. In the Arab world, majority are Muslims, no doubt about it, but not in America. America is one of the most diverse faiths that is there. And then you can see for the other faiths as well. And someone had said Indian and Pakistani, and that's, they're about the same as the Arabs. Does anyone know what the difference, is there a difference between someone who's from India or someone who's from Pakistan? Or that's a too charged up political question. Is there a difference? You're shaking your head no. Why? They were the same country for a long time. Until when? When the British end, does anyone ended? When? Does anyone know which year? Are you raising your hand? Okay. 1900? I heard something. 1908. Is that right? How about you? Do you know? 1947. 1947 is when the British rule in the Indian subcontinent ended, and two countries came out of that. India was divided. There's India and Pakistan. Later on, another division happened, and out from there in about 1971 came Bangladesh. But before that, it was all one. It was all India. So if anyone tells you I'm from India or from Pakistan, you can say, well, it's the same thing. Geographic, no, it's a different countries, different tradition, different culture. That's all there. But historically, they were all the same. That's not part of the presentation, so let's move on to the next one. U.S. Muslims in America have the second highest level of education among major religious groups in the country. And a greater proportion of them have college degrees more than the general U.S. population. U.S. Muslim women, American Muslim women, hold more college or postgraduate degrees than Muslim men. And they are most likely to work in professional fields than women from most other U.S. religious groups. It's not me that's saying this. Actually, CNN, the sources cited there, had done a research piece on this, which was published about 3-4 years ago, and that's the conclusion that came to. Let's take a look at further breakdown. American Muslim women surpass American Muslim men in education. 73% of the Muslim women have a post-high school education, and 57% of Muslim men have a post-high school education. The reason I chose to put this in there is to dispel the myth that you often hear or read about in media, is that Islam does not allow women to be educated. That's not true at all. And if there's anything that you can take home with you today, I would say one of the key points that you should be able to take home today is that you must always distinguish between the faith and the culture. You cannot combine the two. Faith and culture cannot be combined. Any country or region that have specific practices, if they're not found in the faith, if they're not grounded in the faith, then you must distinguish between the two. So here we see that Islam does not restrict anyone from educating themselves, from education, from going to college, from going to university, from being educated, and the proof is in the stats that you see here. Speaking of women, we have a slide here, women in Islam. Islam granted rights to women they didn't receive until the 20th century. Women have the right to choose whom they marry or when they want to divorce. They have the right to own property, inheritance, and education. They also have protection from slander and injustice. A lot of these things, some of them are modern concepts, such as voting, women's rights. But Islam gave these rights to women hundreds of years ago. Hundreds of years ago. It is grounded in faith. Can anyone become a Muslim? You're shaking your head? Or do I have to be born as a Muslim? Before we move to the next slide, which we're coming to the end here, what do you think one has to do if they want to become a Muslim? To declare the Shahada, to declare the testimony of faith. Any other question or any other guesses? To follow the word of Prophet Muhammad. Any other question or guesses? You have to marry into it? It sounds like an interesting faith, but it's not Islam. Anyone can become a Muslim. Anyone who utters this testimony of faith that we had talked about in the beginning. The two parts, belief in the oneness of God and belief in Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, as the final messenger, the final prophet of God. Anyone who believes this is considered a Muslim. You cannot be forced to believe this. This has to come from yourself, from your own heart, from your own mind. Anyone who believes this would be considered a Muslim. Now, acting upon the teachings, that's a whole different thing. But here we're talking about belief. So, Islam is the divine and Abrahamic religion that is for all of mankind. Not just the Arabs, not just for the Indians, not just for the Pakistanis, but for the entire mankind, regardless of race, social status, wealth, or anything else. Any male or female can become a Muslim by making the following declaration out of their own free will. I bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship except Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad, peace and blessing upon him, is the messenger and prophet of Allah. Now, I know the time is not sufficient for us to cover all the details, but I hope that you have learned a little bit more than the 5 pillars of Islam. The 5 pillars of Islam, as I mentioned earlier, I was told that you already know that, so hopefully you learned a little bit more. But before we check the last slide, I want to know what your ideas are in terms of if someone wants to ask you, or someone asks you, hey, do you know about Islam? Or where can I learn more about Islam? What would you tell them? Offer them a book that you picked up here. Hopefully you pick up another one, so you give that to someone else. That's one way. What else? What are some of the other things that you can do? Here are some suggestions. Visit a mosque like you did today. There are many mosques, especially here in the Chicagoland area. You're interested in learning more? It's always best to go to the source of what you want to learn. And that source is not Google or YouTube. Okay? So better for you to go to the source, talk to someone who is qualified, who is educated, and usually the best place to start is contacting a mosque. You can arrange the same setup that you've done here or on an individual level as well. Join an interfaith or intercultural organization. Invite a Muslim to speak to your community. You can reach out to the mosque if you want to invite a speaker to come to the college, come to the university, or even if you're having a gathering of your friends and family, you want to invite someone, you want to learn more about the faith, you can do that as well. Ask questions. Ask questions and get your answers from reliable sources, from authentic sources, from people who are, as I mentioned, who are qualified, who have the credentials. And the times and the place that we're living in today, having a channel on YouTube or TikTok is not the qualification that you want to look for. Okay? If you see something, of course, say something. If you know, hopefully you have enough information here that dispels some of the rumors or some of the myths that you know out there. So if you know someone who's saying something wrong, make sure that you put your knowledge to use and speak up for it. The last slide is, thank you for your time and visit.
Yeah, so we will take some questions, but we do have 1:30 prayer. So we can take 1 or 2 questions at the max. Then we will have the call to prayer, and then we will have the prayer after that. So 2 questions, and then after the prayer is done, you can always stay back. You can observe the prayer and then ask questions when you leave.
All right, we're going to take questions till 1:20. 1:20, we're going to end. We're going to have the call to prayer. And he's going to bring the microphone around. Raise your hand, he'll bring the mic if you have a question. Back here, we have a question here.
So I'm Ocean, like the ocean. My question was that my professor told me that for every mosque, your guys' Mecca location is different. So where is your guys' Mecca? Which direction do you guys pray to?
No, that's actually, I don't know if your professor said that or not.
Oh, okay.
All Muslims, they face Mecca when they are praying.
Okay.
That does not change for any mosque, or even if you're praying outside of the mosque. The direction that you should be facing, that the Muslims face, is Mecca. So any place that you go, any mosque that you go, like here, you see here, now this is facing Mecca. So any place, anywhere in the world, you look in the compass, and you see where Mecca, which direction it is, and that's the direction that you face.
I was wondering, you guys is wanted of like the people like pray to him, or I don't know, like in Christianity where you like pray to Jesus or you pray to Mary. Is that the same with him, or is it different?
Okay, good question. Do Muslims, basically, if I want to summarize the question is, do Muslims pray to Muhammad? Would that be accurate? Muslims do not pray to Muhammad. Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, is held in high regards, just as all of the other prophets and messengers. But Muslims believe that Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, was a prophet and messenger of Allah, of God, that God communicated to Prophet Muhammad through Angel Gabriel. He brought guidance for us, and that guidance is in the form of the Quran that we talked about. So the summary is, Muslims do not worship Prophet Muhammad. They do not worship him. He was a human being that was special, that was different than all of the other creations that Allah created, just like all the other prophets and messengers. But Muslims believe that Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing upon him, is the final prophet and messenger of God. No other prophet, no messenger is going to come after him. We also believe that he is the highest or the most respected prophets and messengers out of all the prophets. And we can say that he's the leader of all the prophets and messengers, but we don't worship him.
I know that wearing hijabs are for modesty. When the gentlemen wear the caps as well, is it for the same thing?
Yes, it is out of modesty. It is out of modesty. The hijab is the reason Muslim women are asked to wear the hijab is out of modesty, and the same thing is applicable for the men as well. In general, men and women are asked to dress modestly, meaning no tight clothing, no revealing. Yeah, about the cap. Yeah, I mentioned. We'll make this the final question.
What are the key differences between Sunni and Shia Muslims besides just differing beliefs on who should have been the caliphate?
All right. This question would require another hour for me to answer. So I'm going to summarize it real quick. The difference is, actually the difference was a political difference that started in regards to who should succeed Prophet Muhammad as the leader for the Muslims. There was a dispute amongst the Muslims at that time where a small group had a different position than the majority of the group. Later on, that has emerged into theological differences as well. But for your information, the majority of the Muslims in the world today, between, we can say between 85 to 90% of the Muslims, how many Muslims were there in the world? We talked about that. 1.9 billion. The vast majority of them, between 87 to 90%, are Sunni Muslims. You are in a Sunni mosque. That's we can leave it at that. That's the majority of the difference. Now the theological differences, that's a whole different thing. You'll have to come back for that. All right, so we're going to take a break now. We're going to call the prayer, the call to prayer. You're more than welcome to stick around if you'd like to observe the prayers. But we kindly ask that if we can move the chairs to this. We need these 3 rows, so if you're sitting anywhere here, if you can make yourself, relocate yourself to the back.
So we'll have the Sheikh actually call the Adhan. It's called the call to prayer. So you will see the Arabic version and the translation is on the screen. So please make an observation about the translation, what's being called there, all right? And then right after the Adhan, after 5 minutes, we will have the actual prayer itself. So please be seated here. If somebody wants to go upstairs, check out the female section, you can always do that as well. Thank you.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
So once again, reminder for you all, there is literature in the back. So there is literature in the back. You have the Holy Translation of the Holy Quran and also some other brochures, some important information. Please feel free to grab it before you go. We have some dates for you guys. We have water and as well as hijab for ladies if you want to try out. So it's all free. Please feel free to do that. So, Sheikh also wants to mention that we pray 5 times. One before the sunrise, which is known as the Fajr. The one which we are going to do right now is the afternoon prayer, which is known as the Zuhr. The third one is before the sunset, which is known as the Asr. And the one is after the sunset. The fourth one is Maghrib. And then we have, before we go to bed, there is another one called as Isha. So we have total 5 prayers that we do on a daily basis, and all Muslims are required to pray. Thank you. Also, there is women's section in the back. If somebody wants to go and take pictures, you're free to take pictures also. Okay, so I didn't mention that, sorry. So yeah, the women's section is in the back. If you want to check out that section, that's always, there is stairs here, you can actually walk up there. Only the men, only the women should go there, not the men, sorry. So I just want to repeat one more thing, that the men's should not be going to the women's section. If you don't mind, please. I see some of the men's actually going. So please, I really apologize. Should have emphasized on that. Thank you for understanding.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
So we can make sure your lines are straight. And for our guests, out of the 5 daily prayers, this is the second one, and this one is done quietly. There's no loud recitation of the Quran. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر السلام عليكم ورحمة الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين والحمد لله رب العالمين. This concludes the second prayer of the day. You will see some of the congregants here stick around and offer additional prayers on their own, but the ones with the congregation is finished. For our guests, you're more than welcome to stick around for a little bit. Help yourself to the tables in the back that we have with some books and some hijabs and some dates and water for yourself. And I'm here for a little bit more. If you have specific questions that you would like to ask me, I'm around as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much for allowing us to come to the Al Huda Mosque. We learned so much. I love the experience of the rumbling sensation when everyone got down for prayer, and we love to learn more about Islam.